This is the introduction to Stand by R.E.M. This is a great song for beginner and intermediates to learn because you've got a lot of mostly root fifth or power chord riffs, and then occasionally like an open chord will show up here and there. And then the solo is definitely for intermediates. You've got some pull-off stuff and some bends that actually sound a lot harder than they are, and the wah definitely makes things sound a little more trick than it actually is. So after the little keyboard intro, you've got just this simple blues bend lick to lead us in. So let's give it a listen. So with my second finger, and you can use your index, second, or third on this one, whichever you feel most confident with, whichever is the strongest. But I'll be using my second finger here because it gives me my index finger a chance to just barely touch the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth strings to mute them. I'm putting it here on the second fret of the third string, and I'm picking that and the second string open at the same time, and then I'm bending it a full step. And one of the cool things about this bend is you know it's in tune when both notes ring out in unison together at the same pitch. The second string is open is a B, and you're going to be pushing this A here on the second fret third string to become a B. So after you've done that and held that for 3 beats, then you're going to pick it and release the bend. Pick the third and the second string together, and then hit the third string open. One more time. And then it's off to the chorus where we begin the song. Stand is unique in that the song starts out with the chorus. And the chorus kind of sets the tempo for the rest of the song. It's kind of an old school touch that you don't hear too often in modern songs. So it actually, in this context, it ends up being quite unique. So let's give the chorus riff a listen. So I'm going to start out with an E5 chord. My index finger here is on the second fret of the fifth string, and you hit the sixth string open at the same time. With your third finger, you're now going to come to the fourth fret of the sixth string, index finger to the second fret of the fifth string, and hit the fifth string open twice. Then we're going to come to a C sharp 5 chord, index finger on the fourth fret of the fifth string, and your third finger is going to go on the sixth fret of the fourth string. Strum that once. And then slide down 2 frets so that your index finger is on the second fret of the fifth string and your third finger is on the fourth fret of the fourth string. That's B5. And then after the initial B5, you strum it 2 more times. And now we have a little sus4 sound here. So there's a couple different ways that you can approach this. In the performance, I'm starting out from that B5 chord. What I end up doing is I bar with my third finger. This would be called an A-form bar chord. I bar with my third finger on the fourth fret of the fourth, the third, and the second string. And then I add my pinky to the fifth fret of the second string. I strum the third and the second string at the same time. So I actually end up strumming the fourth fret on the third string and the fifth fret on the second string. Then I lift up my pinky. So my third finger is just barring the fourth fret on the fourth, the third, and the second string. And then I pick the third and the second string. Now if you don't want to do that A-form bar chord, what you can do to just kind of make things a little bit easier is you can bring your index finger up to bar just the fourth fret on the third and the second string, and then add your second finger to the fifth fret of the second string. Then lift up your second finger so that you're just barring the fourth fret on the third and the fourth string, or the third and the second string rather. So either way is fine. This one is more challenging in terms of fretting, but it doesn't require as much movement. And this one's a little bit easier in terms of fretting, but you have to move out of that B5 chord. So after we've done the B sus 4 to B major, then we go to an E major chord. And we just strum those the top 3 strings, the first, the second, and the third strings. So to do E major, you're going to put your index finger on the first fret of the 3rd string, second finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and your 3rd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So strum those first 3. And the reason we finger the whole chord is because at the beginning of the next measure, you're going to need the 6th and the 5th string to give you that E5, and it's just nice to have them all ringing over one another. Let's listen. So after you hit that E5 that you got out of that E major chord, bring your 3rd finger up to the 4th fret of the 6th string, then index finger up to the 2nd fret of the 5th string, 5th string open, C sharp 5 once, then B5. So you do an 8th note strum on that B5. And then you just lift up your index finger and hit the 5th string open. So let me listen to those last 2 measures of the chorus there. And that's the chorus. Let's check out the verse next. So let's check out the verse here on stand. In stand, we have some root 5th chords, some power chords, where the notes are picked individually and just kind of interspersed with some open strings to give them some color. And then the rest of it's just basic root 5th power chord riffing. So let's give it a listen. Let's listen to the verse here slowly. To start here in an E5 power chord, your index finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the 5th string, and your 3rd finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the 4th string. So pick the 5th string, then the 4th string, then the 2nd string open, then the 1st string open. Then we're going to slide down 2 frets to D5, index finger at the 5th fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger at the 7th fret of the 4th string. And then we're gonna start out picking the first 2 notes of the chord, the 5th, then the 4th. But now we're gonna pick the 2nd string and then the 3rd string. So let's listen to that first measure. Now we're gonna come down to C sharp 5, index finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string and 3rd finger at the 6th fret of the 4th string. And if you want to just kind of make those open strings that you've just picked go away, just kind of bring your index finger down so that they barely touch the string. So let's listen to that. So as I slide down, I just kind of barely touch the first 3 strings with the back of my index finger here to make them go away. Just barely touching a string is enough to make it not sound out, which is kind of your enemy when you're first learning how to play. You're first learning how to do chords, but now you can use it to your advantage. So once we're on the C sharp 5, strum that twice, and I give it kind of a staccato feel, which means I let go of the fretboard after I strum it. I don't let go of the strings, I let go of the fretboard. Down 1 fret, same shape. Now your index finger's on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and your 3rd finger's on the 5th fret of the 4th string. That's C5 just once. Back to B5, down, index finger to the 2nd fret, 5th string, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. So Now we're going to hit just the 5th string open. Come back to B5, hit that twice. And then hit the 5th string open. So let's listen to that. Slowly. I'm going to start out with the same E5 to D5. And now we're going to do a different chord progression at the end of that. So come to G5, index finger here at the 3rd fret of the 6th string, 3rd finger at the 5th fret of the 5th string. Strum that twice. Slide this shape up 2 frets so that your index finger's at the 5th fret of the 6th string and your 3rd finger's at the 7th fret of the 5th string. That's A5, strum that twice. Now we're going to slide up 2 more frets, index finger at the 7th fret of the 6th string, 3rd finger at the 9th fret of the 5th string. Strum that 3 times. And then you're going to hit the 5th string open. You can kind of lift your fingers up. And hitting that 5th string open gives you time to get back into position for either the E5 to start the verse again, or to the E major to start the chorus again. Let's check out the guitar solo next. Here in the guitar solo, we're going to still be using the same basic kind of twangy tone, but we've got a wah, and we also have a little bit of extra drive. And sometimes that extra bit of drive can come from the wah itself, especially if he was using a vintage wah, which he probably was. So we'll be learning the solo without the extra drive and without the wah so you can hear the phrases clearly. So let's listen to the first measure of the solo, the first couple measures of the solo. It's got a real simple pull-off lick that we're going to be doing with our first 3 fingers. In fact, the entirety of the solo is going to be done with the first 3 fingers. So let's listen. I'll play that slower. Take your index finger and you're going to put it on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and your 3rd finger is going to hang out on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and you're going to alternate pulling off to the open. So 3, 5, 3, 5, 3. Then take your 2nd finger and you're going to put it on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. You hit 2 8th notes here. Then back to the 3 open pull off on the 2nd string. Back to your 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then we have an 8th note phrase here. So hit the 4th fret on the 3rd string twice. Come back to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, hit that. 5th fret on the 2nd string. Back to the 3rd fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret. So let's listen to that phrase. And again, the whole first 2 measures of the solo. Now we're going to come up, we're going to bring our 2nd finger up to the 8th fret of the 2nd string. That's going to kind of define our position for these next couple of licks. Let's give this a listen. That again for you slowly. So with my 2nd finger here on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, I'm going to pick that and the 1st string open at the same time. I'm going to do that twice, and each time I'm just going to push the 8th fret a 1/4 step. Not so much that it's a 1/2 step up, but just enough to kind of push it out of tune and give it a little bit of a bluesy edge. Okay, after I've done that twice, I'm bringing my 3rd finger up to the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Then back on my index finger here on the 7th fret of the 3rd string and do a quick hammer on back to the 9th fret. Come to the 7th fret, 3rd string. Third finger is going to go here on the 9th fret, 4th string. Then we're going to do that 7 to 9 hammer on here on the 3rd string quickly twice here. 1st to 3rd finger. Back to the 7th fret, 3rd string. 3rd finger here on the 9th fret, 4th string. And back to the 7th fret of the 3rd string with your next finger. So let's listen to that phrase again slowly. Now I'm going to bring my 3rd finger up to the 12th fret of the 3rd string. And let's listen to this next 2 measures here. Very kind of Hendrix lick here. Almost exactly like Purple Haze. It's a vibe he's going for, a real 60s psychedelic vibe here. Let's listen to that first phrase here, and we're gonna play it slowly. A nice little triplet, quarter note triplets there. So play the 12th fret on the 3rd string, 2nd finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger back on the 12th fret, 3rd string, and now we're going to do that triplet. So you're going to bend the 12th fret on the 3rd string a full step. And you see I'm bending with my 3rd and my 2nd finger, and my index finger is covering the 4th string, just to make sure that the 4th string open doesn't sound out. At the beginning of the next measure, we're going to bend and release. So. Then come to the 11th fret on the 3rd string with your 2nd finger. And now you're going to bring your 1st finger down to the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And then we're going to do a quick triplet hammer-on pull-off lick, and then that ends in a slide. So pick the 9th fret on the 3rd string, and with your 3rd finger you're going to hammer onto the 11th fret and then pull off. When you hammer on, you want to hammer on with the very tip of your finger. And then when you pull off, it's almost like you're picking the string again with that 3rd finger. You really want to get some friction as you pull off that string. It's better when you're first doing hammer-ons and pull-offs, it's better to just do it with as much power as you can and then worry about cleaning it up later. So again, pick the 9th fret, hammer onto the 11th fret of the 3rd string with your 3rd finger, pull off, and then slide down to the 7th. And then that last 8th note in the measure is the 2nd string open. And by hitting that 2nd string open, it gives us time to get back down here to the 3rd fret and get in position for the final couple of licks. Let's listen to them slowly. So coming out of the measure before. I'll play that for you slowly again. So pick the 2nd string open. That's the little open that you're hitting as you're transitioning out from this 9th fret area. Then with your index finger, pull off the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. 3rd finger is going to hit the 5th fret on the 2nd string. 2nd string open again. Then back to your 3rd finger here on the 5th fret, 2nd string, and pull off. Index finger on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. 2nd finger go up to the 4th fret, 3rd string. 2nd string open. And then 3rd finger on the 5th fret, 2nd string. And then the last measure we have. So 3rd fret on the 2nd string. 2nd finger on the 4th fret, 3rd string. 2nd string open. Index finger on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. And then the 3rd finger on the 5th fret, second string. And then if you listen, you can kind of barely hear he has a little chaos there at the end. And we surmised that it was the third fret on the index, with your index finger here on the first string. She just did a quarter step bend. So if you want to get it exactly right and you listen real closely, you can hear that kind of bluesy note there at the end. The solo was overdubbed because you can still hear the rhythm guitar underneath it. So they probably ended with that nice bluesy note there, but the overdub, at that point they wanted to get back to the rhythm guitar. And in the performance, I left that out because it gives me time to switch off the wah and get back to the verse riff. So let's check out the outro next. Stand in the place where you live. Now face north. Think about direction, wonder why you haven't now. Stand in the place where At 2 minutes and 29 seconds of the song, we have the outro, and that's where the chorus riff starts to modulate. We actually changed the key. So the chord progression stays basically the same structure. It's just the key is changed. And in true punk rock fashion, Peter Buck has not figured out exactly how to play the main chorus riff in the new key, which makes it kind of cool. So it's a little bit different than how we've been playing the chorus. It's a little more simple, a little more visceral, and which makes it a lot of fun here at the outro. So let's give it a listen. So we start here with F sharp 5, index finger here on the 2nd fret of the 6th string, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string. Strum that chord twice. And then you're just going to want to pick the 4th fret on the 5th string. And if you want to make that stand out from the F sharp 5 that you just played, just lift up your index finger so that it loses contact with the fretboard, but doesn't lose contact with the string. That'll make that note go away. Okay, so let's do that little lick. Now bring your fingers down, same frets, same formation, just different strings. Index on the 2nd fret, 5th string, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string, that's B5. Strum that twice. And now we're going to take this shape and slide it up so that your index finger is on the 6th fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger on the 8th fret of the 4th string. And that's D sharp 5. And then down to so that your index finger is on the 4th fret of the 5th string and 3rd fingers on the 6th fret of the 4th string. And that's C sharp 5. And then we do that same exact lick again. And then here, in the 3rd time that he plays it, we start throwing in the sus lick that we've seen in the chorus. It's a little bit different form. Let's listen to that. So start out F sharp 5 twice. Go to the 4th fret on the 5th string, B5 twice. D sharp. C sharp. And then we're going to bar with our 3rd finger here on the 6th fret across the 4th, the 3rd, and the 2nd string. And then add your pinky to the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Strum the 3rd and the 2nd at the same time. Then lift up the pinky and strum just the third and the second, but this time it'll just be the 6th fret. And again, if you don't want to learn that A-form bar chord, we can do the same thing that we did in the chorus, where you just bring your index finger up and you bar the 6th fret on the 3rd and the 2nd string, and put just your 2nd finger down on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Strum the 3rd and the 2nd at the same time. Lift up your 2nd finger so you're just barring the 6th on the 3rd and the 2nd. So either or is fine. Then you're going to go back to doing the riff that you did at the very beginning. And now we're going to go up to one more modulation. So now instead of F sharp being our root, we're going to play the same basic riff here with G sharp. So let's listen to that. So index finger here on the 4th fret of the 6th string, 3rd finger here on the 6th fret of the 5th string. Strum that. That's G sharp 5. Let's strum that twice. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick just the 6th fret on the 5th string with our 3rd finger. Again, just lift up your index finger off the fretboard so it loses contact with the fretboard but doesn't lose contact with the string. Bring this chord shape down to C sharp 5. Strum that twice. Now we're going to come up here to the 8th fret, 5th string, and the 10th fret, 4th string, and that's F5. And then we come to D sharp 5, the 6th and the 8th. And by barring the 8th fret here on the 4th, the 3rd and the 2nd string, and then you add your pinky here to the 9th fret of the 2nd string, strum the 3rd and the 2nd at the same time, lift up the pinky, so it's just the 8th fret. Again, you can do the same thing with your index and your 2nd finger. This time your index would be barring the 8th fret of the 3rd and the 2nd string, and then your 2nd finger would go on the 9th fret of the 2nd string. Then lift it up. And then we're going to do so strum that G sharp 5 twice. Then hit the 6th fret. Come down to C sharp 5 twice. F. And then down to D sharp 5. And then we're going to do the same lick that we did here once we change to the G sharp. And then we have the final lick, the lick that kind of ends it all. It's all done in power chords, these root 5th chords. So start out much the same way that you did. G sharp 5 twice. 6th fret on the 5th string, come down to C sharp, F, then D sharp, and then we're going to come up to F again, D sharp. Now we're going to come up to C5 here with our index finger here on the 8th fret of the 6th string and our 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the 5th string, and then down to A sharp 5. Index finger on the 6th fret of the 6th string and your 3rd finger on the 8th fret of the 5th string, and then end on a G sharp 5. So let me play those last 3 measures for you here. One more time. And that's the end of Stand. This is the performance of Stand by R.E.M.